Welcome to Pioneers in Payments, where payments experts share their insights. Now, here's our host, Donna Blum.
Welcome, everyone. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Michelle Gauchat from Deloitte. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi, Donna.
How are you this morning?
Good, good.
Good. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I just wanted to get us started with one simple question, which is, would you mind telling our audience a little bit about yourself, your background in the payments industry, and the work that you do there at Deloitte?
Absolutely. So I was fortunate enough to start off in the banking area right out of grad school. I joined First National Bank of Omaha, and I got into their management development program, which meant I got to see all different parts of the bank. I got to see branch banking and merchant banking and commercial lending and wealth management and capital markets. And it was such a valuable experience to see how all the inner workings of a bank happened and worked. And I actually spent a lot of time with our branches in Western Nebraska and Colorado. So it gave me a real feel of what it meant to be a relationship-based business, which those branches in smaller communities are such that. I joined Deloitte in 2007. And since joining Deloitte, I've done all of my work in the cash management space, which is all the liquidity, payables, receivables, and information reporting and digital products that banks sell other corporate clients. Of course, that includes wholesale payments. And I lead all of our projects. I now lead our transaction banking practice for Deloitte Consulting. And I'm fortunate enough, Donna, that I spend all of my time across the spectrum of post-merger acquisitions, digital product launches, payments modernization, which is happening all over the place, client onboarding. So spend all my time in cash management across the spectrum of transformations.
Wow, that is impressive, Michelle. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm so grateful that you're here to share some insights with our audience. So my first question for you, and our audience is pretty accustomed now to the questions I ask, but I'd like to start off with do you think is the most notable trend in the payments industry today?
The most notable trend I'm seeing right now is the fact that financial institutions are having to deal with such a wide variety, a wide spectrum of clients. And it's a term I've coined of banks serving both digitally naive versus digitally native clients. And let me talk to you about what that means. For, of course, years, we've been working off of batch processes and really our infrastructure has really aged at this point, our payments infrastructure, our channel infrastructure, but everyone's cash management processes have really been programmed to do that. And so now banks are really trying to keep up with not only satisfying those processes that are really hard for commercial clients to unwind. They're commercial clients that, as I mentioned, work off of schedule-driven processes. They're ones that have legacy ERPs that really are tied into potentially doing their payroll via spreadsheets still and managing their capital that way. So while serving those institutions that are still trying to keep up and modernize, you have that kind of spectrum going on. And then at the same time, we've seen such an acceleration of what I'll call digitally native clients. Companies that out of the box are trying to pay their workers on the hourly basis. Companies that are trying to really just plug into fintechs, and they really want their digital experiences, even their corporate treasury experiences, to be characterized by anywhere, anytime. So, and they're really looking for insights from banks, not just products. So if you put yourself in the bank or the FI shoes right now, you have a really, really wide spectrum that you're trying to serve and keep up with. Just as we kind of feel that every day, we are still doing a ton of lockbox in the US. So at one point, we're truly trying to keep that going and serve those clients. But at the same time, we're also trying to stand up, the banks are trying to invest and stand up a whole bunch of new products. And then how do we get those to the clients in the easiest way? Because it's a little bit of a chicken or an egg process there, Donna. As we've seen, like with same day ACH or RTP, if you build it, they will come, but it doesn't exactly work like that. It's taking more and more time to bring those use cases to the market and get broader usage there. So this trend of kind of trying to serve these big, wide spectrums, I think it's only going to continue at least for the next 5 to 10 years as we see FedNow roll out, as ISO 20022, and there's just larger usage of that, but it's going to take a long time.
That makes so much sense. So many organizations are just at different stages of the adoption of new technologies, new payment schemes. And so you really have to serve them all, the early adopters, all the way to the ones that are sort of perhaps lagging behind. Yeah. Well, thank you. So moving on to the next question, what do you see as the biggest opportunity today for organizations that process payments?
I see, and I'm going to look way out, Donna. I'm going to go way out, way out. I think the biggest thing is a mindset change, but let me characterize what I mean. We need to start even thinking about how we charge and we bill clients for services different. And I'll go a bit deeper there. If I think about cash management as an example and wholesale payments and payments as an example of that, the way we charge clients to use those services, there are thousands of billing codes, thousands. And I see a future where 15, 20 years from now, there's far less billing codes. And we're, instead of charging customers for this report or that service or this permission and entitlement, we're really going to see value-based billing from banks and thinking about, okay, we got in a file, a payment file from a client. We've now told the file or the client when those payments should settle, how they should settle and clear. Should it go RTP? Should it go wire? What's the rail it should go on? And then bringing that sort of value to the clients based on all of their payment history and everything that we know about their payments. And that's how we charge the client, that type of value and what it saves the client. Another example of that would be just cash flow decisioning. How can we use better intelligence to suggest to clients where to put their cash flow, and almost like obviously emulating a consumer experience, next best action, and how that works. So it's hard to really, I say mindset, Donna, because it's hard to think about, put yourself in those shoes right now. But we really need to start thinking that way if we're ever going to kind of change the model, and the model is eventually, it will change.
You know, as you're talking about that, I'm just envisioning a big ship with a small rudder, right? And you sort of have to determine the trajectory of that ship. And it takes a long time to actually change the direction. But that's sort of what we're talking about here right now is, making those, basically course corrections, and then eventually we'll get there, right?
That's
Great.
right.
Well, so we just talked about the greatest opportunity. What would you say is the biggest challenge for organizations that process payments?
Right now, it's talent. Finding the right talent. Not only is it increasingly hard to find, and I'm stating the obvious there, but that's both from a capacity standpoint and the right skill sets to cover off on. If I think of skill sets of the financial institutions that I'm working with right now, I mean, what you're really working for people that have worked with emerging technology, people that bring an API first, a developer first mindset. You also want people that understand the business, the business segments, what small businesses need versus middle markets need, and the clients themselves. Also within payments, you know this, Donna, people that understand the regulations and compliance, because that you can't develop without having that kind of mindset as it goes along. So I think it's increasingly hard to source that talent. And then it's such a competitive market right now. How do you really hold on and to keep that really scarce, those scarce resources? I think that's the biggest challenge right now.
That makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of organizations are feeling that crunch, having difficulty finding the people with the right skill sets and talents. So if you have good people, you need to do what you can to keep them, right?
Right. That's right.
So I always like to wrap up with this summary, like let's just boil it down. if you were to provide our audience with one silver bullet piece of advice, what would that be?
I'm gonna go real old school, Donna, and say client experience is key. And I know that's such a cliche statement, but I can't emphasize more, even in all the transformations that myself and my teams get involved with and partner with, everything has got to be about the client experience. I think to date, payments as well as even just broadly cash management, it's been a very financial institution or bank driven, product centric kind of approach. And I think more and more we're seeing that product construct no longer works. It's really got to be about clients. We need to think about industries and how healthcare versus energy, like what are the benefits of different new payment rails coming, and what does it mean for them, and how do we make it a very client centric experience? So I can't emphasize enough, I try to spend as much time as I can, even talking with banks clients, corporate treasurers, and so forth. How are they using payments? How can it be better plugged in with them? How can they be more connected with the fintechs and the institutions? So I would just say everything, even with ISO 20022 coming, or RTP coming, or cash forecasting models, the products are important. Make sure that they really they have to tie into a really solid client experience.
I think that's excellent. Yeah, I think I would caution any organization from making decisions in a bubble. You have to reach out. You have to understand what your clients need and want. Yeah, very good. So my last question, I want to make sure that our audience knows how to learn more about Deloitte and the services you provide. So what information can you share?
Absolutely. And we actually just last week published our 2023 Banking and Capital Markets Outlook point of view. So I would encourage everyone to go on our website and search for that. It's a great read about the banking industry as a whole, and actually has a feature on each business segment. I would also advertise, we have a really, really great global payments page on Deloitte.com. So search for that. And there's a lot of different articles and points of view that we've posted there. So that is your best way to really find out more about us. And of course, reach out.
Wonderful. Well, Michelle, I just want to thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And I want to also thank everybody for watching. Have a great day.